So we're a little late. We're a week late, but we're gonna talk Flash 10. And I honestly think it kind of worked in our favor because
Yeah,
we get to talk about Absolute Power alongside it because that came out this week.
yeah,
Um,
good stuff.
I saw you put on your story you didn't really like this issue that much. So I was kind of like,
I
oh
did.
shit.
Did you like it or no?
I mean I thought it was okay. There was only one part that kind of took me out of it. It was when uh Barry got like harpooned basically by
Yeah, Ollie.
spoiler,
Yeah,
Green
spoiler.
Arrow in this mech suit, um, or whatever you want to call this.
Yeah,
Um,
because I isn't this just like the bat suit from when was the last time we saw this thing?
I couldn't even tell you.
I I don't want to like, man. It wasn't like New 52, or was it? Or Rebirth, like
That's what I
early
wanted
Rebirth?
it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I don't remember.
The
I mean,
Justice
granted,
Buster.
I yeah, the Justice Bus, or was it? I don't think it would have been in Snyder's Justice League, would it?
Let's see if we can. Um, I love how I just looked this up just so we could see it because I need to know. It's gonna drive me nuts. Batman Endgame. Oh, so yeah, it was
Oh, so it
New
was
52.
New
Yep.
52 then,
I
yeah.
thought so. When I first saw it, that's what I thought.
That's right. Yeah, because it's what he used to defeat the Justice League or whatever back then.
Yeah, yep.
Or like that's what it was its purpose was. I and it's weird because I feel like the stuff with uh Ollie and Barry, it was like it was the part that I disliked the least.
Was the stuff with them?
Yeah, like I don't know, and like and maybe it's because like it that is going somewhere. Like I know where that's leading into. Like I know like the next step for that is like for Ollie is to go into absolute power, and I know the next step for Barry is to do something else. So like I don't know, it was nice to have a little bit of build up. I totally feel like I'm ass backwards now because I'm like, wow, it was nice to see it tie into absolute power, whereas before I didn't give a shit about it tying into absolute power.
Yeah.
But
Well, so I remember this kind of reminds me of a time that when Flash was like the only thing I was really reading.
mhm.
And I just remember like I think it was the first metal that I just kind of like was reading Flash and then I just was like, "Oh, there's this event." And I just didn't care. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like I just kind of was like, "Oh, I'll
And
read
that
that at
that's
some
so
point."
funny because like I remember metal is like I was reading I was basically just like digital and online like for quite a while. And then it was probably like I would say maybe like a year into Rebirth is like when I finally decided I was like maybe I should just start like collecting like physical,
I think
like
that there's a lot of people that I did the same thing. I was reading digital for a long time, and then I was just kind of like
because like I mean up until that point like I had just been reading digital mostly. I read what I
trades.
yeah, like I was super lucky like growing up like my local library had a bunch of like random single issue stuff like just in the back. It
Yeah,
wasn't really stuff that like it's like that stuff that you don't ever like people don't ever take home, but it's just like you read when you're at the library kind of situation. Like it was all that. Like so
yeah,
I would spend a bunch of time at the library and I would just read as like a bunch of comics. Some of them I've probably read like dozens of times. But
yeah.
like my my father growing up, he also had like a few short boxes of stuff, and that was the first time I had ever read a comic, and I read it was Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I imagine a 9-year-old kid being like, I
What
don't
is
know what
all
the
this
hell's going
stuff?
on,
Yeah,
but it's cool. It was cool to see everybody together.
yeah,
Like that's what it was for me because like around that time, I think the animated series was kind of going like so like I was like familiar with some of the characters just like from TV and stuff. So like at that point, it was just kind of fun to see them all on the page together, like on the show. for me at least. But then yeah, trades and like just friends from school having stuff like I don't know. I got my comic fix growing up, but it wasn't until I was like out of the house, grown up, had my own money, I was like,
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah.
start collecting physical. So yeah, it was like right around, yeah, right after Rebirth started. I think it was trying to think of that. It was the arc right after Godspeed. I think it might have been that couple issues of the Shade
Huh.
in Flash Rebirth.
Yeah, I remember for me it
I'm
was
trying to
like
think
running
a
scared. I remember like I saw the cover to
the
like
one where
running
he's
scared.
pulling his face off, man.
Yeah, I remember
I
seeing that cover and I was just like, and it was like when I was just reading Rebirth and Trade and I was totally like content with it. And then I was like, I gotta get caught up. So then I just started like reading, digital, got caught up, and then I just remember I was like, yeah, I gotta start reading single issues again. It was all
yeah,
that stuff.
I
But yeah, that cover, I remember that was like, I
dude,
gotta read physicals again. I gotta read
yeah, like, and it was
monthly.
so funny because like I remember being like, damn, what a time to get like into like to collecting like single issues because like I I don't think I was really deep into like the cover collecting the way that I am now, but like that's really what kicked it off. I feel like that running scared cover where he's pulling Barry away, like even to this day, like if I were to ever get like a detailed tattoo, that would be it, 100%. Like
Damn.
I just think that image is so cool. Like it's one of my favorite
Absolutely, yeah.
Flash covers. It's so good. But yeah, let's
Um,
talk about this Flash.
yeah. So the one thing that I didn't really like about this that really
Mhm.
stood out and took me out of it is when he like harpooned Barry's leg and Barry just like kind of charged up and like took off. I was like, his leg should be gone. Like,
Ghost, yeah,
yeah. Like, and I just felt like, Barry kind of taken Ollie for like a ride, kind of. Like he was just kind of
yeah.
like it just like was like this, it does not make sense. Like,
Well, like, and here's the other thing, and I feel like, have you been reading Green Arrow still?
no, I haven't. I actually wanted, that's what I'm glad we're talking about this because I really need context with why he's working with
So,
Waller.
like, yeah, so like basically with Green Arrow when that started, it was Merlin and I think it was Merlin and Waller were working together, and they basically sold Oliver on this lie that if his family were to be together, it would be like the end of the world, basically. Like for whatever reason, they just cannot be together and they're meant to be apart. So that's where like at the end of Dark Crisis, when he died, he got like zipped to like a different point in time or an alternate universe. It wasn't really super clearly explained. Um, but like all this stuff happens. He ends up finding his way back to like Prime Earth, and he reunites with the whole family. But the kicker is he's now working with Waller, and he ends up snagging them like the mask and all of the files from Sanctuary, and hands it
Huh.
over to Waller. And so now he's like full blown Waller goon, like 100%. And I don't know if there's like if there which there might be like a face turn back to where he's just like a double agent for her right now, and he's like getting as much info as he can out of her, and then gonna switch back to the league. But like in Absolute Power, that I got no indications that he was gonna ever like or he was gonna flip back over. So yeah, if you're not reading Green Arrow, you really miss a lot of that development for him and where it puts him from like Dark Crisis to now.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like I hear little things and I see things, but I'm like kind of like I know he's working with Waller, but I don't. It's one of those things with DC Infinite. You know how you're basically a month behind if you just
Yeah,
catch up with everything on there.
right.
I'm kind of tempted to do some binge reading kind of on
Mhm.
my vacation next week, just so I could be like, all right, I need to know what's going on with Green Arrow
Yeah. Yeah,
and with all
it's
the
it's not a bad read. I think it really suffers from it just being like connected to everything with Absolute Power and Waller. Like
yeah.
I think the first six issues are really really solid. Like they are
Okay.
really really good. And I even think this like the 7 through 12 is really good. But it's just it starts to really gear up the Waller stuff and like leading up to Absolute Power and like getting him primed for that. And then like I even at the end of Flash or the most recent issue of Green Arrow, it really felt like he could probably face turn back to being a hero, but like with absolute power, it really feels like the opposite now. Like that, the dialogue in that from him really sold me on him being like, "Oh, I believe in Waller now," and I'm just like, "Yikes!"
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
like
know,
it.
but I will say I felt like in this, we'll see how it actually goes in Absolute Power. And
Yeah,
I mean, I'll catch up on Green Arrow maybe, and I'll have more context, which should be good. But
yeah,
um, Barry and Ollie have never really gotten along, so
right. Yeah, they've
I felt
always
like
had
it
beef,
kind
which
of
is why like I almost was like confused as to why he couldn't pinpoint who it was, or like why didn't he just take the Buster apart in seconds,
yeah.
like before Ollie got going on like using all this tech on him. I don't know. It's whatever. It just almost feels like this was something that Spurrier had to put in because it's just having to tie into absolute power.
Yeah. I feel like I'm kind of flipping through it right now. I feel like this was definitely it definitely was a tie-in issue, which was good,
I
but I felt like it didn't push as much of with the other stuff. Like it's kind
Yeah,
of just Wally in this other place, just kind of
right.
chilling, and it's
Yeah,
still
and then
very
all of like
vague.
the Flash, like some of the Flash family come in and help him at the end. But
Yeah.
let's talk about the. Do you want to talk about the Wally stuff first, or do you want to talk about the stuff with Jai and Inspector?
Well, I'll just say a few things about, Jai and Pilgrim first, but I like that scene where, he was like changing his own in his own diaper. It was kind of funny. Like I was just and they were just kind
Yes,
of watching.
I thought that was so funny. Like,
Yeah. He's a good character, man. I really mean it when I say like I kind of enjoy the scenes with him. Like I find like those scenes in
yeah,
any dialogue, I find like I'm like, all right, I
I
really need to
like
pay attention.
yeah, I think he's an interesting character, and I hope he does stick around like long term after this run is over, and it's not
Yeah.
just like something that we got for this. Because here's the thing: is how long realistically until we see an older Waid? Probably never, honestly, or maybe 30 years from now when my grandchildren are reading Flash.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? So I would like Inspector Pilgrim to stick around for a little while at least, like maybe, dip in and out, and maybe somebody else will use him in a few years. But apart from the diaper scene, it really, really seems like a stretch to be able to have Jai do all this stuff with binary code. Like,
Oh,
am I the only
yeah.
one that feels like this is just like he's just like shitting out ideas and saying, "Hey, this works." And I'm like,
Well, I
know,
feel like Spurrier in I don't know if his inspirations. I'd love to interview him just so I could get more of an idea. But like, it seems like he's trying to make Jai Franklin Richards. You know what I mean? Like from like the Hickman stuff in Fantastic
yeah,
Four.
yeah.
He just
Like
feels
giving
like
him the ability to
he's
like to reshape reality or change, like, yeah,
yeah. And I just don't know if I like that. I just feel
right. And
like I just feel like Jeremy Adams, like he really kept it simple with the kids. And I feel
right,
like, before Jeremy Adams and now post Jeremy Adams, like they're complicating it. You know what I mean? Like I liked Jai with like
yeah,
his super strength kind of powers, but it was always just kind of
yeah.
like
I well, and I
it
think the
only
other thing too is like, and maybe it's just because Adams has kids,
yeah.
and you can tell like just based off like when I met him, or like when you've talked to him, or like just the stuff that he posts online. Like he's very like a wholesome, grounded, like family oriented person.
Yeah.
So and that carries through into the stuff that he writes. Like even into Green Lantern, like when it's like Hal and Carol, or when it's Hal like with a friend, like it's very like personal. And I feel like that's that's what has always made Flash for me. Is it's like, yes, the speed is cool, yes, the villains are cool, yes, he's cool, but like at the end of the day, it's like the connections they make, and it's the relationships, and it's all of that stuff is what's kept me on Flash for so long. So
Yeah.
like when you kind of strip all that away and make it just a goofy sci-fi, like everything's wild, everything is possible all at once, it just becomes like another generic sci-fi story to me.
Yeah.
And with the Flash, like it's like featuring the Flash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and I don't. not that it's necessarily bad. I just don't like it. It's just not, I just not for me. I don't think. I'll keep reading it for now, but I don't
You
know,
got to
man.
keep reading it, man.
I know.
You can't give
Now
up
I
on
have to
me.
keep reading it. We've done this for
I know.
like 10 months straight, man.
Yeah. Dude, it's
Oh,
crazy because, you know, we started this issue 1 and it's 10,
yeah,
you know. It just
yeah.
does it gets because we only talk once a month, you know.
Dude,
But
and the other thing, I'm glad we're talking now because I saw the solicitations and when the 13 popped up, I was like, damn it. I was like,
oh
damn it, it's
yeah.
not getting canceled, man. I was like, I need it to be gone so I can start it over.
I don't, you know, I really don't know. Oh, I like that cover. But I didn't even see that. Oh, I did see that. You sent me this.
Yeah, I went straight to variants, man. I just can't do anymore with this with the
The
those
main
covers.
covers. This is my
Yeah.
home screen background right now.
Yeah, I remember you telling me. Oh, dude, it's so
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
I
It's good.
I got into an argument last week at the shop
Really?
over Wally's costume. And
Why?
well, because somebody was saying they're like, I don't know. Like, first off, it started off, they were like already like smack talking Wally, and I was like, all right, all right, all right. So we gotta like back up a little bit here. And then I was like, okay, I'm like, so like, what's your complaint about? What's one of like a genuine complaint that you don't like? But this person was like, well, I just don't like a suit. It's just the same as Barry's, but now it has the nose piece and it didn't before. And I'm like, okay, like whatever, fine. And so like to console that, I'm like, what if we just took the silver from his rebirth suit and slapped it onto the current suit that he has? And
Yeah.
I mean, I've always felt that that would be like a pretty cool look. I do like the open headpiece, but like if we're keeping with like the nose piece, which I'm pretty partial to it, man. I really, really like the full cowl with the nose cover, you know?
Yeah. There's like
So yeah, yeah. Like even like
there's an
I think
issue.
it's so sick, dude. But
It's not here, but
I yeah, it's like basically where that conversation led was to him being like, that's an even worse suit. Why would you even suggest that? And I was like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like chill out.
yeah. I
I'm like it's so funny to like now that I've been working in the shop for a while, like I'm a little bit more like loose with my opinions on stuff. Like especially people that I see like all the time. But like every
yeah.
now and then somebody will like catch me off guard with stuff like that. And I'm like, it's not that person. It's like not that serious, man.
Yeah, I posted this and there was like arguments over this in uh
Yeah.
in my comments and I was like, what the heck? Like and I get
Everybody
a
wants
kick
to
out
get
of it.
mad about it. I don't understand why. Like it's just a costume, bro. Like
Well, I remember seeing something like people were talking about this suit and this suit. People were thinking this was like a Wally suit technically, and I'm like, it's not Kid Flash. Like if you look at any Silver Age Flash, like the logo is a little
that's
small
literally
at
it.
first.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's Barry's like first, and then that's like what it kind of turned into, and then this is obviously New 52, and then this is
It's
Rebirth,
current.
you know,
Yeah.
um, or the current, yeah. But
Yeah.
and
Or it.
you know that statue that I got, you can actually see it right there. It's on
Oh,
the
I
top of
see
my
the stuff.
cabinet.
Yeah.
It's this suit right here, the New 52 design, but on the trading card it comes with, it says Wally West.
No way.
Yeah. You didn't see that? Oh, I didn't send it to you. I
No.
meant to send it to you.
That's funny, man. That's so funny. Yeah,
But I
you
was like,
can't really
man,
see it from here, but I've got my bill up there.
oh, Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that not that long ago.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, it's so
Um,
I've taken it down every day just to look at it, and my wife's always like, "What the hell are you doing?"
oh, I know. I did the same.
I'm like,
I
"Leave me
did the same
alone.
stuff. Yeah.
Leave
You
me
just
alone. I'm
kind
playing with my toys right now."
yeah, you gotta have your geek moments, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm there.
exactly.
I'm there with you. Um, but yeah, overall this issue, man, like, you know, not a lot happened. Like Wally's just kind of there and he's getting
Yeah,
revealed stuff, which
the
was like
archangels or whatever it was.
but and he's kind of like his memory is just kind of like like slipping away, you know?
Yeah. Oh, okay. And here, this is the one I feel like. I Again, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
I I like the fact that we're basically seeing the resident fade away
Yeah.
because I feel like she's been like pretty urgent the last few times we've seen her with like, hey, you need to remember. Like, and it lends itself a little bit to what we were thinking with it being a like a part of Linda,
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
because
And it
she's kind of coming back to being aware.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So like I like if that is the connection and it's a piece of Linda that's like attached itself to Wally to help him remember and to like keep him, to be his lightning rod. But I I don't know, we just have to wait and see. But if that is the case, I like that transition because they're lining up really, really nicely there.
And I think like, like her being kind of loopy like that is like almost like she's running out of bandwidth kind of. Like she's
Yeah.
stretched like this. That's why she like can't really.
Right, because
I think that's cool.
she's focused on right. And like looking back, I if I were to reread this, I feel like if I were to just focus on Linda and like kind of see how like her progression through the series there, like it's probably pretty straightforward. Because in the beginning, I remember I just could not shut up about like how pissed I was that it was just like why are we doing this?
Yeah.
But like now it makes sense. Like it's one of those time will tell things, but also we've been here for like basically a year now almost. And there's still stuff from issue one that I don't really feel like has been explained very well, and we don't really have a resolution to, and like we're on a second arc.
Yeah, it's that
I
it's
don't know.
that long game stuff, man. Like I know I said
Yeah.
it before, and I feel like because we were thinking for a little while it was gonna end with issue 12. I honestly think Spurrier is gonna have 24 issues at least. I
I mean, and
really do.
if it's 24, I mean, hell, like may as well do 25. You know what I mean? Like may as well charge me $10 for a final issue.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like I feel like he was doing a lot of X-Men stuff and then he just kind of is at DC. Like I know he's done DC stuff, but I just wonder if like there was some kind of deal made, like regardless of sales, we're gonna let you do your story. And maybe he had this whole manifesto of like it's gonna take a long time,
All
but
right.
this is where it's going. You know what I mean?
And I feel like there's some truth to that because I'm trying to remember what interview, maybe it was Word Balloon, but he talks about Flash and basically how like he has some of these ideas and he wants to get them out there and it's not it and I mean and he was very like transparent with it from the get-go that this is not going to be a typical Flash book. It is not going to be what you're used to. It will be different. It will be like kind of like redefining the series like in a different genre, which I'm okay. I'm fine with. But then I think things maybe kind of got out of control when all of the trades, like all of the news sites kept saying it's gonna be like Immortal Hulk. It's gonna be like Saga of the Swamp Thing. It's gonna be something comparable to an Alan Moore or a Grant Morrison work. And people were like, wow, that's crazy. Like, I can't wait to read this.
Yeah, but you
And it
can't
is
say that like
and it
with
is and
issue
it's
one.
literally none of that. Like
Yeah.
it's you know what I mean? There are even Al Ewing, like with Immortal Hulk, like there are still times where I think about moments in that series. I haven't thought about Flash further than when I read it or when we talk about it, like for the last
Yeah.
year, which sucks because like when Adams was writing it, there would be times where I'm like, damn, that's just a cool
Yeah.
book. Like I was cool.
Yeah. Oh no, and I love Adams because I honestly felt like it was always a quick read for
Yes.
like a good reason. Like it was like, oh, this is gonna be like not like an easy, but like an easy,
Yeah,
quick read
it's
and
not one of those
enjoyable.
books where you feel like it's dumbed down and it's just like really, really fast. Like it's just fast because it's fun to read and it's enjoyable and it's entertaining. There is action, but it's not bogged down by like six
Yeah.
paragraphs every single page.
This reads, and I don't I don't want to get any shit for this because it's I'm just saying how it reads, not it's like comparable to, but like it reads kind of like something like a Hickman kind of or the big concepts and stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
Like,
like which is so funny because I feel like I find myself like with books like Hickman or like I'm probably gonna name drop Ewing a lot, but
yeah.
he's getting really high. He's a really high concept kind of writer too. So like when I read their books, I'll almost fly through it. Like even if it's a lot of words, but I'm like so like engrossed in what's on like the story being told and like the word like just the words that are that like just the way that they write words is like interesting to me. So like when you have a writer like Spurrier who can do the same thing, but it just feels like it's not as like fluid, it really slows it down. Like I don't know if that's kind of how you feel about it.
Yeah. Um, I think so. I just feel like when you're kind of used to like just like Flash has always had a lot of high concepts, but for the most part, it's very always like boots on the ground, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, and I almost feel
Literally.
like it's always been like like one at a time kind of thing, you know?
Mm, yeah.
Like like you get one concept out there. Like even like we'll even say like the Forces quest in Williamson stuff. Like some of that could be considered some higher concept stuff because it was like
Mm,
already taking like a not really completely understood concept and breaking it down even further into parts that you that we don't even know what they are yet. But like with that, it was like the first step was the forces are out there, you know, and we kind of get an introduction to them, we learn about them, and then then it's the strength force, and then it's the sage force, and then it's the steel force. But it was like one after the other. It wasn't like just all of it was dropped at once, and you have to like kind of pick whatever thread like one at a, you know, you have to kind of piece it apart all at the same time instead of getting one, you know, you get led down that one road and then you can come back and do the next one. Is that, and that like that's just how my brain felt like with those concepts as opposed to these.
yeah. Um, so what else, I know I talked about the Pilgrim stuff. Do you have anything else you want to say about just the Wally stuff in here, or
Uh
there's not much. I mean, we kind of
like three
covered
it's
it
like three
with
pages of the book. Yeah.
yeah.
I really again I really like how they have Wally fighting the Justice Buster on the cover instead of Barry. It's my favorite part of it
Yeah,
too.
so gimmicky kind of.
Uh I I thought we had kind of wrapped up the Crown of Thorns bit.
I know, and it's odd because it's like I felt like it kind of was gone. Like it almost felt like Barry was kind of free of it,
Yeah.
but now it's like Wally's problem. Like it was
Yeah,
like,
like
you know what I
are they
mean?
just like jumping speedsters? What happens if Wally gets out, you know, like gets away?
Yeah.
Is it gonna go to Jay? Is it gonna go to Max? Is it gonna go to
Well, I wonder like, when if Wally gets back, to the real world, like does he is he gonna have that Thawne, brainwave kind of thing, like the possession, and
yeah.
then he's gonna be
That's
acting out of character, so like
right. I mean, and granted, this is the first time we finally see the arc angle, so
right.
left a lot to be desired, I will say. It didn't feel like it was anything super revelatory.
Is that like what's being shown like at the
I think
end?
it's that the triangle thing, no? With the
Yeah.
wing, all that. I mean, we
Yeah.
saw the statue a couple weeks ago, but like, or like a couple issues ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is at the end too. There's like four of them.
Yeah.
You know what? It makes. I'll do a little bit of digging. I don't. Yeah, because it looks like there are four of them on this final page. I wonder if there's like some symbology here to something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
I
see.
yeah, it was okay.
I
I
love this
my
cover right here. This is such an awesome cover.
What's the yeah, I'm getting the Javier Rodriguez one, dude. That shit is so good.
Yeah.
Dude, that
Although
Zatanna
this
book that
leg
came
looks a
out,
lot.
the Zatanna book that he does the art on that just came out last week.
Yeah.
So good.
Is good.
So, so good. Yeah.
Um,
It's hit or Mariko Tamaki's hit or miss for me. Her Hulk was okay, but like
she did a pretty good
Detective, right?
detective for a while, yeah. And then it
Yeah.
got to the Arkham Tower stuff, and that's when it kind of lost me. But that's
Yeah,
like that was my
that's like
first
you're
exposure.
not the first person I've heard say that either. So like
Yeah.
I I it's how often does Zatanna get a book? One, you know?
Right.
So like I was willing to like order 5 copies of this stupid book.
It came out this
So
week?
last week I
Last week?
yeah, I bought 5 copies of it. I'm a sucker, dude.
Jeez.
I got all the covers, man. I had to.
Yeah, Mariko Tamaki. I remember I did shit, I forgot about Red Coat. I gotta
Red
read
Coat
Red
was
Coat.
okay. Us get through Absolute Power because I kind of do want to
Yeah.
talk about the machine stuff too.
Yeah, no, well, I didn't read Red Coat yet, so we can't talk about it too much.
I won't spoil it.
Oh, Art Germ. I know you're an Art Germ fan.
Yeah, dude. I got both the regular and the foil. I'm a sucker.
Oh, this looks cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. The art is so it's insane. I this dude's got some killer art. But yeah, that's a good book. But yeah, I that cover is kind of I'm like, yeah, it's just I just love his art. I just like his covers.
Hell yeah. Uh, you know what's funny? I just want to say this. My expectations for this were low, which I know sounds crazy considering it's
Oh,
Mark
dude, my,
Waid and
my
Dan Mora.
mine were very low. Let's just say that.
I
Like,
just felt like I feel like event fatigue is just so is killing me right now.
can
Like
we
I've
talk
just
about yeah, can we talk about that for a second? I
yeah.
because I've been on like a rant like all week about this, man. Like, I just feel like there's not events anymore. We are not, but there's no event season. It's just the way that comics are designed now. Like
Yeah.
they sell us on this idea that it is an event. It's just the next DC universe or Marvel universe story arc because we've gone from Dark Crisis with a direct lead in into Lazarus Planet, with a direct lead in into Night Terrors, with a direct lead in into Beast World, with a direct lead in into Absolute Power. Hell, we didn't even it wasn't even that. It was Beast World to House of Brainiac to Absolute Power. Like it when there aren't DC like line wide events, there are smaller crossover events in between them. And it's there's never a point in comics now that we are not in an event.
Oh, I know. I didn't even read Beast Wars. I didn't read Beast
It's
Wars. I don't think I finished Night Terrors.
Night
Um,
Terrors sucked. The end was
yeah.
garbage. The
Lazarus
best book is
Planet was okay. I
all,
thought that was all right.
you only need to read the thing is you only need to read the first four issues of Batman versus Robin and then the Alpha and Omega issues of Lazarus Planet because that's all that Wade wrote and that's all that matters.
Yeah. I feel like I, I hate that I'm becoming this kind of person, but like I feel like I'm really just like do I like the writer? Okay. You know?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
with this, I was like, oh, let's wait. I'm gonna read it. But this was good. This
yes,
was
it was
good.
good. It
And
was
and
good.
it and I feel like if you tell somebody what it's about, it doesn't sound like it'd be good,
I
which is kind of
what
funny.
what I really like about this is I had no idea how they were going to go about one depowering and like basically like defaming all heroes on Earth.
Yeah.
But to
It
make
really
it
it was
like
cool.
AI like made footage, all of that, which is like so prevalent right now.
Disinformation kind of.
Killer move, dude.
Oh.
It was great. I
And I just
and
feel
I'm
like I feel like
good.
Wade, just in this first issue alone, if this sticks, he's teeing up some great stories for like just like line wide, like throughout, you know what I
Yes,
mean? Like,
yes, dude.
and I wonder if I wonder if that's what honestly this new absolute, we keep talking about an absolute universe kind of, but I
Yeah.
just kind of wonder like, is this just like a new status quo kind of where it's
Which
like,
and did we not talk about this last like the couple months ago where we were basically saying how it could be that a lot of these books are just going to like kind of carry into the absolute line and either
yeah,
it's just going to continue on the way that it is and then just be absolute DC or something is going to be a really big shakeup and it's going to make that line come into existence. I don't know.
I just
I
feel like the only I trust Wade. I'm a
oh
big
yeah.
Mark Wade fan, and Dan Mora is a rock star right now. This team is awesome.
I
Like, but the only way they could screw this up is if they just turn it into a typical crisis event
Yep.
at the
Yep.
end.
Yeah.
And like, I just, I saw this on Twitter, so like, it's kind of a joke, but like, I saw someone saying like, "Oh, imagine San Diego Comic Con. They're like absolute um like they changed the name halfway through to like Absolute Power Crisis on Infinite Earths, you know what I mean, like something dumb like that." Which they wouldn't, but like
Yeah,
dude,
like
like,
issue three comes out,
and it's just
and
called
it's
Absolute Crisis on Infinite Earths.
oh, because that's exactly what happened with Dark Crisis, man.
Yeah, well, Dark Crisis, yeah, in Dark Crisis, like I'm still
Ugh.
mad about that. Like, So JD met Williamson, I think when issue one was out, and
Huh?
he got me a signed copy of Dark Crisis #1. And I just looked at it and I was just like, man, they should just kept it as Dark Crisis. Like
Yeah, it was cool. I
is
like that name.
and it was just like I just feel like calling it Dark Crisis on Infinite Earth. It was just so cheap.
Yeah, well,
And
like, and the other thing too is like with like Pariah coming back, okay, whatever. You really want to play into the nostalgia of it, but like, and this is something that's always bugged me about Dark Crisis is at the end of Death Metal, did they not rebirth the infinite multiverse?
yes.
So, why do I need another scene of Pariah creating an infinite multiverse inside of an infinite multiverse that already exists?
I don't
Like,
know.
trust me, that Sampier page is fucking cool. The hand and all of the planets, it's really cool. It makes no sense. It makes zero sense.
Yeah. What's funny is so Jeff got to do his event with Infinite Crisis, and Morrison got to do his event with Final Crisis, which Final Crisis is kind of whatever you want. I've every time I've read it, I've interpreted it differently.
Batman should
But
have
I
stayed dead.
really what's up?
Bruce Wayne should have stayed dead.
But well, just I mean the fact that Barry Allen came back, I'm like, damn.
Also should have stayed dead.
But I felt like, well,
Clark Kent should have stayed dead.
yeah. Well, like Bruce Wayne dying in that, like, oh, dying kind of set up. I mean, I loved what Morrison did with Batman, like traveling through
Yeah,
time and stuff. But
I like Dick as Batman, so I was whatever, you know.
yeah, oh, absolutely. But I feel like this is Wade's time to do like I'm hoping that this will be one of those things where like because I have very limited trade space on my shelf left. But if this sticks to landing, I will buy this trade. I'll pre-order this trade because this first issue was awesome. And
Yeah,
I
it
was
was hella
actually
good.
thinking to myself, if this works out, I would actually like recommend this to like my dad or my brother to read. And hopefully you can just read it on its own and appreciate it
Yeah,
for what it is.
like
Because
and
I know this is very premature because it's only an issue one. This could really crash and burn, but I don't think it
right.
will.
And here's the thing is like I've been pretty vocal like about my dislike for like everything that the DC universe has been building to for a while now. And like with the little bit of knowledge that we got, like that it's kind of that the event has passed through multiple hands before it got to Wade, you know. Um, I am way more confident in it now that the first issue is out and I've read it. But like to be like I was never worried about like how the characters were going to be characterized, what like any of that stuff. So like I was confident that at least Wade and Mora would be the shining stars of this, even if the story itself was like just Waller winning. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I and maybe it's just because like she's in our faces, like in literally everything, and that's why I'm just like I didn't care. But like this is the first time I feel like in a long time she was written well.
Mm.
And and I've heard it a few times, like the theory that this could be Earth 3 Waller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, because there was that War for Earth 3 event that was
Yeah.
a couple years ago that like Adam's Flash crossed over into.
Yep.
Um, and so in that event, at the end of it, she gets stuck in Earth 3. But the
Okay.
light, who was revealed to be like the Brainiacs in House of Brainiac, which I don't know if you knew that. Were you reading that?
No. No.
Okay, so like more context for Absolute Power then too.
Right.
Like that whole House of Brainiac thing happened. Like everything happened with that. Brainiac Queen was born. Clark and the Super Family eventually stopped Brainiac, and then okay, kind of cool. Brainiac Queen kind of got like a remix on like Clark's origin, where she gets sent down from Brainiac's ship, like basically just a defunct robot in a small little escape pod, and Waller finds her
Oh,
and
this was
yeah, it's
that
absolute ground zeros or
Ground
whatever
Zero. I
ground.
read that. Yeah, I read
Okay,
that.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
all like everything like that led up to that was in House of Brainiac.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like in the House of Brainiac special, it was revealed that the light is actually just 7 different Brainiacs.
Mm.
I wasn't sure if it was shell bodies or if it was like multiversal Brainiacs. I wasn't entirely sure, but it
So
was revealed
basically,
that,
I just got to read everything Williamson right now to
yeah, I mean
understand.
essentially, yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
Was this supposed to be his event? You think?
oh, yeah, I'm almost certain Wade said that it had passed through Williamson, Snyder, Zdarsky, maybe Zdarsky, and then I think one of the Toms before it got to him. Like,
Dang.
and don't quote me on that for sure. Like, I might be
Yeah.
misquoting, but like,
Right.
I mean, regardless, it went through multiple hands
Mm.
before it got to Wade. And the way I understand it was like each person that worked on it added a little bit and added a little bit, and they never really took away from too much. But DC basically had to say like, Wade, can you just make it work? And he made it work. So whereas and here's the thing is like was he their last chance? Like was this an editorial thing to push the Waller story, which okay, whatever, fine. But like to have it go through multiple like talented writers and then basically say, here, the best of the best. Can you please fix what we can't fix?
Yeah.
It's almost like, man, like why are you even bugging this guy with it when he can be sitting here writing a good ass, like a really, really good event out of world's finest?
I know. Well, I
You
feel
know,
like that's why I wasn't really excited because it just kind
same.
of at first felt like, okay, what's the best book right now? Like in terms of like sales.
Yeah.
World's Finest probably, and who's like the best writer we have right now, Mark Waid, who's the best artist we have, and it just kind of was like, oh, so you're just gonna because I feel like a lot of the DC and continuity stuff, I've kind of just been like, if it's not happening in Flash, if it's not happening in Batman or Green Lantern, I'm really out of the loop right now. And it's just what I
Yeah.
hear from like
I
you or whoever else.
I I'm glad I followed along as much as I have because I
Yeah.
feel like if I hadn't, like even reading this issue, I feel like you could almost get away with just reading this event because it does a pretty good job of like setting everything in place and kind of explaining to you what's happening. The Justice League is not together anymore. This all of these like fake videos are out there,
Yeah.
incriminating and all of these heroes. So it's just a good first issue for an event. It just sucks that it has to bear the weight of everything that came before it.
Yeah.
Because okay, the only thing I haven't kept up with would be Dream Team. But
Yeah.
I don't even feel like you need to read that. Like I've been reading all of Green Arrow, I've read all of Superman in action. I have not been reading Batman. I just cannot do. I've been reading Green Lantern.
I'm curious how Adams ties into all this stuff.
I
I'm
I
sure
mean
it'll be good.
and here's my hope for, and we haven't even talked about the issue yet, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Here's my hope, and I'll just be quick. My hope with after Absolute Power is we start to get into the United Planets stuff
Mm.
because there is so much there that has not been touched upon yet. Like when Philip Kennedy Johnson was writing Action and he was doing World, the United and then like everything kind of started there. Like the United Planets caught wind of what was happening on World. Um, it was revealed that they had caused like the death of like basically all the Phalosians, which are like offshoots of Kryptonians, and which is where we got the twins in Action, Philip Kennedy Johnson's Action run. Uh, Otho and Osul, I think those are names.
Mm.
Um, and you get there from World, and there's another. I think his name is Krylux. He's another Phalosian, but basically he's revealed to be a bad guy in the end. And while Clark is on World, he discovers like a white star or a white sun or a white star, and it basically gives him like the biggest boost of energy imaginable. So he's at the peak of his power, even when he gets shot in absolute power. Like he's the most powerful he's ever been. Um,
Huh.
because it like the white star basically supercharges him even more than our sun does.
Wow.
but it's also revealed that that energy source is from an old god called Olgrin. And this is a story that Philip Kennedy Johnson's been trying to tell, even in Green Lantern War Journal, and that got canned at 12. And that book is really, really good.
War Journal got canned at 12. Like it's
Yeah,
done.
it's ending at 12. It was announced as an ongoing. It's ending at 12. So
Oh, that sucks.
I don't want to be like suspicious, but like, how many times are you going to cancel books on this guy with a storyline that's really fucking good?
I know.
Because they canceled his action run to do the All Stars thing with Aaron and everybody else and the three issue arcs. Like, why? Yeah, he
Yeah.
had the Blue Earth arc that he finished on. Like the last three issues, it's just like a bam, 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 the end because he ran out of time. And so everything that he tried to put in action and carry on with there, he moved some of that over into John
War
Stewart's book.
Journal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's still trying to push this Olgren story. He even did an interview and said, I'm gonna tell this fucking story. He's like, I'm gonna tell it. He's like, I don't care. I'm like, good for you, man. Because that like it's the only part of DC Cosmic that I think is or even all of DC. It's the only larger overarching story that I think is interesting because you've got everything that Warworld tied into with that one Phaelosian who's gone rogue and he's ready basically cut the head off the United Planets, like and just run amok. And then you've got the United Planets now quarantining Earth for Waller and keeping all this at bay on Earth because they're making their deals. Like, if you just got rid of all of the Earth shit and let all of those characters operate in space and tell this like larger galactic like universal event, I think it'd be so cool. And let Adams and Johnson co-write it. They've been steering this thing since the beginning. Anyway.
I yeah, it's funny. Like I heard something that like, oh, what book does Philip Kennedy Johnson do next? And someone said Nightwing, and I was just like, he's been doing mostly cosmic stuff. You put him on Nightwing, like that would like what do we just unless you just do Nightwing
I
in space, you know what I mean? Which would be
Hey,
crazy.
Batman fell from the moon. Stranger things have happened.
He would probably do something like that though. He'd be like, yeah, he's just gonna be in space. But um what else about this issue? I
Oh,
just I feel like it was just so good. I really enjoyed it.
you know what I think really really helped my enjoyment of his fuck dude, look at this. I miss him, man. I miss
Animal Man.
Animal Man.
Yeah.
I still need to read Morrison's run, but I read Lemire's run and the new 52 run.
Mm, it was good.
It's phenomenal, bro.
Oh,
Let's see. And this, I don't know, man. I can't even say enough things about Mora's art, dude. It's like I thought his art was good when Tamara Bonvillain was doing all the colors for him. Like she did it on Once and Future, and she did the colors on, or is doing the colors on World's Finest. Alejandro Sanchez is like a one of a kind.
oh, I know. Yeah, that it's crazy. Like it's stuff like that that makes me realize, like, damn, color is so important. And obviously, color is
Yeah,
important. But like, just like
the
the
shading,
previews of like
like
Superman, like it was like,
yeah,
damn, like it looks so good.
it's crazy, bro. Like, and because they this is the same team, like the same three that were on Shazam. Like
Yeah.
Sanchez did the colors
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
for on Shazam, but this even looks better than that.
Is he like more as like in continuity colorist? You know?
Probably, I would
Yeah.
think so.
Because I remember thinking that too with and I might have even heard it in an interview with them, but like it's like, oh, this is his in continuity colorist. You know, you have Bond villain and
Yeah,
the world's finest stuff, which
I
works. You know, that palette's great for that.
it's yeah. This is
Yeah.
like just the way
Um,
like okay, hold on. Let's
but
talk
yeah,
about like Wonder Woman's like chest plate. It just is like I can see it shining in my face.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's crazy, man. Like
Hell yeah. Um,
this is my probably my favorite page. Like I first I didn't give a shit about these Amazo Justice Leaguers, but they're cool, bro. They're cool.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and I think it works for the story really well. You know what I mean? Like
I
the Amazos.
yeah, yeah, which is like again, like it really fits in with the AI narrative that they're driving, you know?
Oh, you know what bugs me though is like they just wrapped up the
fail-safe stuff.
the failsafe like Zuranar stuff like
Yeah.
last issue.
Like last issue, yeah.
And then it's like, and I just feel like it's like you didn't even give it any breathing room,
It,
you
yeah,
know?
it okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like that's the one thing I'm like, all right, you guys, like you couldn't just
Yeah.
let this shit keep going and then wrap up that arc in Batman after this.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
like and I feel like this is my ongoing problem with DC's continuity. You Everything is happening at times where like there's clearly an established timeline. We just
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
I know.
Like because absolute power happened like you know what I mean? Like where's it
Yeah.
happening? Like
It makes you just feel like it's like, oh, I guess this is just, because like there, I felt like the way it was read was like Batman was kind of like shocked. He's like he's back,
it's
like,
like what the hell?
but it's like, well, he just went like I don't know. It just, but I will say one thing I wanted to tell you. This issue of Batman was the best issue that Zdarsky's done so far. The A
Really?
story was a very good standalone story that I would probably give to anybody to read. And then the B story is the Absolute Power tie-in. But I
Yeah.
think you absolutely should read it. I think it was really good. And you know me, I'm just reading digital. This is an issue that I would go down to the shop to
And
pick up
what are
because
the
I thought it was
variants? If I'm buying this, what are the variants? If I'm buying this, I need to know what the variants are. Dustin Gwyn or Nguyen. Damn it, man. I might actually have to buy this now.
no, it was a good issue. I almost was gonna text you and tell you to read it. Um,
Damn it, dude.
just because it was good. I really enjoyed it. It was the best, and I'll stand by it. It was the best issues that Arcee's done on Batman so far.
All right.
And it's
Hey,
just nice to know it was 150. It
yeah, how much
felt
was
like
it?
a it felt
Six
like an
dollars, man.
it
Six
felt
dollars.
it felt like an anniversary issue without doing the gimmicky landmark issue thing.
Yeah. Which,
Like
right.
it
I mean,
felt,
which
when they do those issues, those landmark,
I
anniversary issues,
hate them. They're stupid.
and they have like tons of writers and everyone has their story. This felt like it should have been a story like in one of those kind of things, but like it was just like really good on its own. And it had Dennis Cohen on art, um,
Nice.
with some Jorge Jimenez art too, like mixed in there. And it wasn't jarring too, because they have very different styles. But
Okay, maybe this might be kind of a hot take. Do you feel like Jimenez has been on Batman for too long?
um
Like, is there anybody
yeah,
else that you would like to see draw Batman now that he's been on Batman for as long as he's been on it?
I just blew into the mic, so that probably sounded weird. But I don't know. It's crazy just because I feel like I would almost be pissed if like he was on another book right now, because
I mean,
like
yeah, I
that,
understand.
like, and James Tynion, his run, like it was it was okay. Um but I
Yeah.
felt like the art in that was like what made it. Like the art was like, oh, the art
I
is just always good, so it kept
After
me in.
seeing the cover he did for Zatanna and the times that she's shown up like in Batman when he's like drawn her or whatever, I I think if she got like another stint, like an ongoing or like even like a limited series, I would love him to draw her because then he could still draw Batman. Because Batman would probably show up in there.
Yeah.
I just think that would be so good. I'm just biased to certain
I,
characters.
I just feel like now, like, and it's just crazy because like, he carried over with Zdarsky. Like, well, he carried over with Batman, like with two writers. So like
Mhm.
I just feel like it's more his book now than it is
Yeah,
Zdarsky's.
yeah. I
Like it
mean,
just
hey,
feel like, and I just feel like he just makes it so good. Like I
yeah.
would I would just be so bummed. Like, and I just remember like when I got on Tynan, um,
Mhm.
I feel like when I got on Tynan's run, and like I love Tony Daniel's art. I'm thinking that because I see the Tony Daniel art right here.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I just remember when he like wasn't gonna be on the book anymore, I was like kind of like upset. But I was like, all right, Jorge Jimenez, he's a good artist, and I just feel like Batman just put him on the map with it. And I know like he did Superman with Pete Tomasi, and he did a great job with that. But I really felt like his Batman work really just put him in like made him a rock star, you know?
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
And I just feel like Batman is just his book right now, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and I really liked his work on Justice League with Snyder. Like that's probably my favorite. Like the Sixth Dimension arc, still, man, to this day.
I've never read Snyder's Justice League.
Really?
Yeah. I just
Maybe
kind
we
of
talked about this.
yeah.
It's I
It was in a
okay.
time when I was reading very few things.
It's worth a read. It kind of
Yeah.
has that like Justice League animated vibe, like the JL
Yeah. I started
Unlimited vibe.
it, but I just kind of like couldn't
Yeah,
really. I was like,
it gets really stupid when you get to Justice Doom War because it's that whole arc I think is kind of lame. But up until that, I think it's pretty good. It's worth a read at least. Last like two things I think because I'm about to run out of time. But
oh yeah.
uh, how the hell did they separate the Spectre from Corrigan?
Oh yeah, that took me out of it too. I was
I
like,
was like,
okay,
what the
what?
hell, man?
Yeah.
I was like, damn, we're really doing this.
Yeah. Um,
Uh,
that was
the other
one
thing,
thing that I was like, okay, I don't know. I
yeah,
like
I was like,
that.
"Ah, we'll see." The other thing
But
I thought, uh, Oliver's like monologue at the end here was crazy, bro.
I know, like, I just feel like the repercussions from that, like, it's like, damn, like, no one's gonna trust him for a
I was
long
just gonna
time.
say that. I said, I don't like he's totally boned after this. Like, there's no way, like, unless he does like the most like insane flip back to being the hero and like totally like is the reason Waller loses in the end. There is absolutely no way anybody's gonna trust his ass after this.
Yeah.
Oh, like you screwed up, bro.
Is this? I know. Is this book ending soon? I know William. I heard Williamson's
Nope, it's
done.
getting a new creative team after 16, I believe.
Hmm.
Is Williamson still writing on that issue right there for 16?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure 16 is his last one because he's moving on to GI Joe.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna be done with Batman and Robin. I think actually his last issue is already out. Um, but then yeah, and then he's done with Green Arrow, I think, after Absolute Power.
I'm saying this right now. I'm not gonna read this monthly. I'll read it on Marvel Unlimited. But
I
I'm
look I okay. I worked today, obviously.
yeah.
And I saw the pages for this.
Hmm.
They're not it, bro.
Really?
This is the worst. It's compared to like King and Black and Vanish. This is not good Stegman, bro.
Like I think just moving forward, I think I'll just always be 3 months behind on X-Men just because I just feel like
I'm just in it for the J. Scott Campbell Psylocke cover, bro. Like I'm gonna give it a shot,
man,
but I kind of like the Magic one though too. That one's pretty sick. I've been getting a lot of those negative spaces.
the John Tyler Christopher. Yeah,
They're
man.
so.
I just yeah, I don't want to I know you got to go, but like
Nah, you're good. I
I'm
got those.
I just feel like the way the Krakoan era ended, and just the fact that it kind of ended like the end of the first Krakoan era, I'm just like I just had this thought that I'm just like I think the best X-Men stories are still just behind me. Like I feel like there's
Yeah.
like don't get me wrong, I love X-Men and I'll always read X-Men, but I just feel
Do
like
you ever feel like old comics are just carrying the weight of the industry on their backs?
sometimes, but I just feel like with X-Men, like there's always so many books, and I feel like there's always like two books that are really good. And I feel like a lot of times, like I always kind of have that rule. It's like I'm only gonna read two X-Men books. And then I just feel like I get so far that I'm like, I look at like, oh, this other book, like Hellions or whatever, X-Force, is like it's like, did I make the wrong decision? Should I have I always feel like that. And I always feel like I'm always reading the wrong X-Men book. But oh, I think I oh, you just
You hear
left. You
me?
got cut out. Yeah, I can hear you. Did
Yeah,
your
my
computer die?
computer died.
Well, no, I just kind of said I feel like I'm always reading the wrong X-Men book. Like I'll make a rule for myself, read only two X-Men books, and then I'm like
Mhm.
I'll hear something else is good, and I'm like, I'm reading the wrong one. So I just feel like the best way forward for me is to just be 3 months behind on the line.
Yeah, my microphone's like messing up for something. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Can you even see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
What the hell is going on? All right, okay, we're good. Yeah, I don't know. I just and I'm not like super well versed in like a lot of like old X-Men stuff. I know my way around like the basics and stuff, but Cocoa era for me, like it was like my first real deep dive into anything X-Men.
Yeah,
And I
for
I
a lot of
kind of
people.
feel like almost disappointed by it in the end, just because like it started out so strong with Hickman, and that was a selling point for me, and probably for a lot of people was that Hickman was going to do X-Men,
Yeah,
you know, and like and he's he did Fantastic Four, he did Avengers, so like we felt like that a team style book or like a larger book like that was safe in his hands, and it was until he wasn't writing it anymore, and it became like kind of a conglomerate of writers and creators wanting to kind of tell their own stories and do all this stuff, while still having to tie it to Krakoa,
yeah.
and then like Gillen steps in, and Gillen's an excellent writer, but he's not Hickman.
Well,
He's not
yeah,
Hickman.
he
Wasn't going to
made
be
it just so it was just Mr. Sinister. As soon as he took over, I was like, it's just gonna be all about Mr. Sinister now. And I just
yeah.
feel like the missed opportunity sometimes with the Krakoa, like there was great stories in that era. Don't get me wrong.
Like I like the Nimrod stuff in the beginning, like with House and Powers. I thought that was so good. Like
Yeah,
all of like the future stuff, I was really in for. And then like we get like up to Inferno, and then when Hickman leaves, it just kind of felt like even when Duggan took over on like the main X book, it just felt like that stuff wasn't really going anywhere. And even his end was pretty like lame.
where Gillen's or Duggan's.
Well, Nimrod's end,
Yeah,
like it was kind of just like it's just kind of happened.
yeah.
I don't know. It's
I
whatever.
I just feel like for something that should have been so immersive, I felt very unimmersed. You know,
Yeah.
like I just
Yeah.
felt like I wanted to like really get a feel for like the island, and I just felt like there was moments where like I really liked what Hickman did at first with that because it just felt like you kind of were like getting the feel of Krakoa through Cyclops's eyes, because like
Yeah.
that was really one of the only books he was consistently
Right.
in the whole line, and it just was like
Well,
you get bits of information of just like how this nation is,
yeah.
and then it just kind of like fell flat. You know what I mean? Like I'd like to go back one day and like actually read maybe all of it to
Yeah.
some degree, because I just felt like maybe there were some things I was missing, but I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like X-Men, like I have my favorite bits, and I just felt like where the direction of where they took Professor X at the end just
Hmm.
felt a lot like what they did like post Avengers versus X-Men, kind of making Scott a
Yeah.
bad guy in that. Like they're kind of making Professor X bad guy going for it. It's like, and
And
it
good.
just was like I feel like I've done this before. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember when it first started, like when House and Powers first started, I was like, damn, Xavier's kind of acting a little shady.
Yeah,
You
it just took too
know, like,
long to really pay that
yeah,
off.
yeah, like, and I feel like I kept waiting for that shoe to drop, and then when it finally did, it was too late, and it was like it was expected, like because he had been acting out of like this way for so long.
Yeah,
It was okay, like all right, it wasn't that big of a reveal that you're doing some weird, like some bad stuff. But like I
right.
feel like had Hickman been able to maintain his place, like leading everything, it probably would have been a better reveal or a different one to say the least.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's just one of those like what ifs, I guess, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Like
But
in 30 years, are we gonna get a what if Jonathan Hickman finished Krakoa?
no, we
12 issue
won't.
by Jonathan Hickman and Pepe
Nah.
Larraz. There'll be eight.
Uh,
There'll be Pepe Larraz will be drawn like Frank Miller because he's old as shit. Hickman is not even gonna know who the characters' names are because he's too old to remember.
yeah. Hickman will probably be doing something at DC by then.
Ugh, don't even talk about it, bro. Like I still am so pissed that we're never gonna see. It was Gods and Hox Pox, or it was Fourth World and Legion of Superheroes. That was the toss up, man.
Yep.
Kind of wish we got Fourth World and Legion of Superheroes now.
Yeah.
But
But
Gods was hella cool. I'll give him that. Gods was really good.
it's funny how we just literally just naturally just shifted over into X-Men stuff.
Yeah.
But hey man, always good talking with you, and
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing how Absolute Power kind of continues. And I like because with Flash, it just seems like Flash is always very close to whatever main event, which is a part of the reason why I'm such a big DC fan, such a big Flash fan, is I feel like Flash always kind of is there when the needle's kind of
Right.
moving forward in the whole
Right.
universe. So, um, looking forward to talking more about that with you, as it comes out.
Maybe these like the releases for these will line up in a way that we can talk about both more than just this time.
I hope so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope so. But
Love
awesome.
to keep.
Great talking with you, man. And
Yeah, for sure.
looking forward to next time.
All right. Later.